Yeah, it's Sunday morning. I'm making a video response to an atheist. I'm a bad Christian. I don't know. I kind of I definitely disagree with what TJ said about Christians being stupid. I think they're gullible. Uh, Generally follow the masses, but that's like the majority of people. The majority of people just follow, in line. And most of the people really don't realize what's going on. They really don't have the mental capacity or the mental wherewithal to truly understand the perception needed to really get humanity in and of itself. But the thing about humanity is, after you understand it to a good degree, you can actually move on past humanity and get to the point to which move on past humanity and get to the point to which you understand deeper stuff about the world. And then that's when the true understanding, perception, or possible perspective of God could come into play. I don't think just purely following the Bible will truly get you in touch with God. If you follow it to like a strict spiritual code, I think that you may get a sense of connection with the higher power. But I don't know. I've never followed the Bible like straight up strictly, but I think that I don't know. I have a problem with the people who think that, once you get to a certain level of understanding, perception, perspective, once you can have, like Thunderfoot said, which I hate his fucking videos, moronic in my opinion. Fucking, once you get to this level of rationale, the idea of God or, being in a religion goes out the window. I mean, generally, I like Christians. I mean, I have a lot of stuff in common with a lot of Christians. I know a lot of Christians who aren't practicing Christianity. So when you think about Christianity, it may not necessarily be people to which are, you know, highly highly connected with humanity. I'll say, or highly involved within the religion. I should say that there's a lot of Christians who are not highly connected or highly involved with Christianity in and of itself, but they would still refer to themselves as Christians. And the reason because that is because they just don't feel the need to. A lot of them are younger kids who never got forced to go to church or don't think it's that necessary, and a lot of other stuff is it just falls into play. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, I think the level of connection, understanding, and the level of connection that a person has with humanity, and the level of, like, understanding that person has, really determines how far that person has a possibility of going. I think that's what like Thunderfoot refers to as the rationale. But I mean, Thunderfoot makes his videos are good. He has a pretty, I guess, rational brain. But I wouldn't even say I don't think Thunderfoot's rational. He's educated. He's into that science stuff. I'm not like trying to downgrade it. So I don't know exactly what the fuck he does. I'll just say science stuff. But but his rationale is connected with more like his viewership is from a good distance back. His viewership, his understanding, perception, perspective is not so. It's not connected with the. How can I put this? Thunderfoot's videos are not like TJ your videos or the Amazing Atheist videos. They're a lot different. I think TJ, I think you honestly have more of a connection with the stuff that you're talking about. You feel more passionately about stuff like that because you're a high school dropout. Me too. I mean, I understand it. I mean, the whole bullshit, the whole perception, perspective of this idea that like high school is everything. I mean, most of our lives were institutionalized. Like that's the majority of our life is institutionalization, and it just continues on. I mean, if you go to public school, the only thing that you do is you go chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. I had the luck of going to a Montessori school, which allowed you to go through, I was good at math, so I was at the point of learning calculus in 6th grade, but my reading grade was fucking shit. Like, I was like 3 years behind. So I actually had to leave that school going to like a basic ass school. It wasn't like special ed, but I was in the class with fucking kids that are 2 years younger than me, and then kids, a year older than me. But I got my reading grade up because I hated the fucking school. I was getting a lot of fights and shit. I ain't trying to act like any hard ass or anything, but that's what the fuck was going on. The reason I bring that shit up is because of the institutionalization. Like, at a young age, I was always, you know, the kid that just, like, wondering shit. I remember being a fucking, like, little 5-year-old kid and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm a Christian and stuff. But didn't Jesus say help the poor? And I just look around like, no one does that. Why don't I see any Christians going out and helping the poor? Like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? Did Jesus not say that? Or Jesus said that? I thought so. Oh, fuck. So we're just gonna worship Jesus to think Jesus is our Savior and a really cool guy. And, you know, we kind of go to church every Sunday. We have to go every Sunday we go to church. We go to church every Sunday because of this Jesus dude, but we don't help any poor people? I don't get it, and I never got it. But it really hasn't changed. I mean, I get it more now. It's more fucking sad. It's like, I mean, the reason is too many Christians do the whole, you know, Christianity thing for the lip sync. That's what they really do it for, the lip sync. But there are Christians who do believe in God. I mean, I think when you start talking about, you know, once you get into the Bible, really start to read certain passages, you get an understanding of it. Better understanding than if you're looking from the outside perspective. I mean, you would have to entertain the idea of there being a God. Like, truly, truly entertain it. Like, even if you don't believe it, entertain the idea. I did that with atheism, and I came to the conclusion that, you know, regardless if there's a God or not God, we still live in a beautiful world. Straight up awesome. And I believe in God, you know, and I have no problem with that. Like, no matter how many videos come out, you know, my faith will not be shaken by that. Just like I don't think I could convert the amazing atheist into a Christian, which I don't think I'd actually want to do or even try to attempt. But I don't know. I think I wanted to talk about more about the difference between different Christians. Christians. Like I said, I think the majority of them are in there for the lip sync, and they don't really have the mental process or the mental capacity to truly, or the logical process, or just the ability to have such a perception that you can literally put yourself in your own position, understand the world, understand everything interworks and intertwines, understand their position in life, because they probably been feeding themselves bullshit for years on top of years with the whole institutionalization. So they're already institutionalized. So these people don't think for themselves automatically. And for a person like that to one day say like, ah, fuck, I really don't like my life whatsoever. I hate this shit. For a person to do that, is fucking hard nonetheless. Like, no matter, that shit is hard in and of itself, just to look at yourself like, oh, fuck, like, I hate my job, I hate my fucking life. Shit. Like, what the fuck am I doing? It's hard for a person to do that, basically, but to do that and then go from that to saying, have I been worshiping a God that I don't believe in? That is nearly impossible. I think you'd see some people's head, like, fucking explode, or like a vein come out 2 inches. It's like... people can't fucking deal with it. So I think the more educated you are, the more rational you are, the easier it is to have an understanding, perception, perspective about such things, about the ability to understand, you know, this is where I am, and this is how the world interacts, and this is how we got to this point, and this point is where I am because of this, that, and the other. And I mean, if a person can do that, you know, I was actually thinking about writing a book about how to reinterpret yourself and then understand, you know, what you need to do to work on yourself. But I'm fucking lazy, and I am not that good of a writer. I'm alright, but anyways, where was I going with this? Yeah, it's just hard. So a lot of the people are in there for the lip sync, you know, just, they're like, yes, I'm a Christian, I'm going to go along with this, so on and so forth. But to truly understand what is involved with the Bible, so on and so forth, and what the perception of God in and of itself has within and of itself, it takes a more intellectual mind. You can't if you really truly want to understand God, you have to question God. You have to question God a shitload. And at times, you know, after your question, you don't reach the conclusion that there's a God. I mean, I did, but my belief in God has been firm since I was a little kid. Like I said, I didn't understand why Christians did what Christians did, and most of the time I was just like, like, I believe in God, but this Christianity thing, this is kind of, you guys are kind of lying over here. Like, are you guys expecting to hire for God or Jesus? Like, I thought, and that's the other thing I think. I think a lot of people do have the action because of fear, you know. And then I don't agree with that shit at all. Like, why are you gonna be scared? Like, oh my God, God's watching. I need to put money in this magic basket. Now, I'm not saying don't give money to the church, but I mean the church helps people. There's no fucking doubt about it. I wish they were just more involved with helping people, like directly, like going out and giving money to homeless people. If they did that, I think the church would get a ton more money. Like every fucking service show, like, you know, these are the 20, you know, like 20, 25 homeless people we help, and, you know, this way, that way. If they had like a 5-minute section of that in every church service, guaranteed they get a lot more money, and they'd be a good amount more of a social benefit to society, or have a social benefit to society. Fuck it, that sentence was grammatically fucked up. But now where was I going with this? Yo, yeah, I don't think that fear should be the basis for it. I think that if you want to worship Jesus and what he did and what he taught, and, you know, consider him God or the Son of God or whatever the fuck you want to call it, I think you need to be more so concerned like Jesus was a good ass example of a fucking person. I should be more like Jesus, and I shouldn't have to be thinking like, is Jesus watching me right now? Ah, crap, is Jesus watching me right now? Okay, he's not watching. All right, fuck, I'm not gonna do shit. You know, or you to be like, you know, actually be sincerely concerned about the welfare of others. If you can be that person, then it shouldn't matter if you're Christian, fucking Muslim, or what the fuck ever. But again, I think, you know, people get too locked in with the lip sync because, you know, people are like, yeah, he's Muslim. I mean, he's, you know, Christian, so I'm gonna be Christian too. That's why it's hot. And on top of that, it has a lot to do with culture. Like, if you have a cultural upbringing of this, that, or the other, your culture determines more of what you're going to believe and think and react or act in any given situation. Actually, culture is the main defining line between people. Skin color, not so much, but if your color, so on and so forth, is involved with your culture, then you'll see the difference, like, to the extreme amount. Like, I know some black kids that are really, really, really white. But if you're a black kid, it is true that you have an ability to grow into the black culture a lot quicker and a lot easier than a white kid would. Just because of the fact that, you know, people look to have a certain sense, and, you know, race, color, height, all these different things are instantaneous. You know, I can just look at a person like, bam, I know what that person's about because of the fact, you know, they have a swastika on their arm, you know. It's not that bad of an example, but culture. Okay, the swastika, I was going to say, I just started thinking about midgets when I said, like, you know, colored, height, tall, and I'm just like, fuck, I don't want to make fun of small people because I don't think there's going to be too many midgets walking around like, hey, you're a midget too? Yeah, midget. Like, that could be a fucking scene in some cartoon. I don't know. I'm fucking out there right now. But, yeah, I think cultural upbringing means more than anything else. Like, race, it matters in the viewpoint and perspective of other people. When it really gets down to your general reaction to any given situation depends on your culture. And I think religion and a belief in, I don't even want to say a belief in God is part of a culture. Different types of belief of God or God, so on and so forth, is part of culture or part of a certain culture. But just that in and of itself is more a theological question, you know, God. And there's been so much research and understand the understand, like, you can't break it down to just saying, you know, like Thunderfoot did, you're either a rational person or you're a religious person. There's so many different reasons why people are religions or people, you know, believe this, that, or the other. It's not saying, you know, like, I'm a Christian. I'm not going to say, like, I always go by the Bible, like, and I don't even want to say it like that because I don't know if it's right. I mean, I believe it. I don't want to say I believe in the Bible more than I believe in God, but a lot of this stuff has a lot of meaning to me. And it does help me with my life when I have certain questions, so on and so forth. And I do, it is kind of nice to have this sense or this feeling that, you know, there's something out there, you know, God is out there and actually cares about us. But then, you know, there's so many other ways you can look at it. Like, why do we have poor people? Why are people starving? Like, these are questions you have to ask yourself if you really want to be considered by any means a real person who believes in God. I mean, and I don't judge other people. Like, in the Bible says, do not judge. I mean, at the base level, the Bible is a good foundation to have, you know, relations with other people. It's good, you know. Don't be fucking, you know, this, that, the other. It's just, at the very base, it's it has good instructions on how you can live your life. At the very base of the Bible is just good instructions. At the extreme levels, it has people who get way too crazy and get way too hyped up and, you know, kind of lose a sense of thinking. But the truth is, you know, that saying, if you If all your friends, if your friends jumped off a bridge, would you do it? And I actually used to say, if you're a religion, most likely.